Hello and welcome to the final episode, or the APAC episode anyway, of or live stream for the Lilypad Network AMA. So glad you have joined us today. Got a couple special things planned for our, we're kind of a bit of a happenstance really, but we've got a couple things planned. But before I do, let me bring out the first one of our surprises for this episode because we have a new guest, not a guest, a new host, a new co-host, if you will. So, hello, Devlin. How are you doing?
Hey there. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Well, actually, I can turn that around and be like, thanks for having me on the show because you're joining now. For those that weren't aware, and we talked about this a few episodes ago. For anyone that may have missed it, it's on our YouTube. But Tao Sheng is heading up a new Chinese-based AMA. So stay tuned for that one. That one will be running through our Discord. We had a little bit of an adventure working out the logistics to make sure everyone around the world can live stream and be able to tune into the live stream. So stay tuned for that one. I believe he's going to be doing it this week. So shout out to Tao Sheng, and hope live stream goes well. Of course, I'll be there, and as will I'm sure many other people as well. So check out that one. But Devlin has just joined the Lilypad network team. He's hopped over to the other side of the pond, so to speak. I do love doing those pond phrases. So he's joined the team and is now going to be doing a whole bunch of amazing DevRel work, including the AMA live streams. So we've got a bunch of questions for you. That said, if you've got a question, if you've got things you want to know or any comments, please drop them into the chat as we go through. You can drop any, as I always like saying, question, comments, or emojis into the chat as we go, and we'll stop what we're talking about and see what we can do to answer them, and to even discuss those topics brought up, or admire those emojis, depending what they are, of course. But otherwise, we've got some stuff planned, so we are going to keep talking for a little while. Let me click to the next. Oh, that was the wrong one, which is what we just talked about. And then we're going to go through a couple. Well, we've got a news thing that we wanted to talk about. Oh, I love finding these memes. Actually, we did have a competition a number of months ago for a Lilypad themed meme, but we should do one for. I have had all sorts of troubles finding good ones for. My breaking news slide. So anyway, there's only a few around. So actually, if you have some, Devlin, please feel free to update this check. Do you have access to? Or if anyone else has one, drop it into Discord. Actually, good segue into. I'm going to reach for my short links. There we go. If you aren't yet part of the Lilypad Network Discord, please join us. There's an amazing continual discussions going on in there. Whether you're a builder, a resource provider looking to share GPUs, or you just want to see what the project's all about and geek out with other fellow AI model running enthusiasts, that is the link to join. So feel free to join us there and share your memes. There's a random channel, but I mean, you could probably just post those in the general chat, just because we like a good meme. Remember, keep it fun. That's the main rule, obviously. Keep it fun and adhere to the community guidelines, of course. But I'm always looking for them. So anyway, if you do have one, please send it. Or you can just join us there. You don't have to send one. Don't feel obligated to do that. Anyway, Devlin, I have so many questions for you. Where did you want to do a brief intro? Talk about your origin story. Actually, let's call this one the origin story, part 1. No pressure.
Yeah, sure. My name is Devlin. Obviously, Devlin Rocha. I like how you call it the origin story. It makes me sound like a superhero or something. But yeah, I like having the opportunity to share my origin story, as you put it, because it gives me an opportunity to talk about the Odin project, which is something I'm a big advocate of, and I'll talk more about that a bit later. First, a bit more about me. I've sort of always been interested in tech my whole life. I think it stems from my childhood playing lots of video games. Always been a very big gamer. Still am a big gamer. In fact, my first sort of attempt at learning how to code was trying to create video games. Didn't go so well because well, I went about it all wrong. It was all about my approach, I think. I wanted to create very big games with big like AAA ideas that take big teams years to do. And I was just like a kid in like elementary school or middle school, not sure exactly, but very young. So I failed pretty badly. And as I grew up, I had other interests like music or even skateboarding. I took a similar wrong approach when I got into creating music with my friends and stuff. I not only wanted to create original songs, but I wanted to like create the sounds that I was going to create, this like design the sounds from scratch. It was too much instead of just like taking a simple approach, a small projects, one step at a time. I think the perfect example is actually skateboarding. The first time I stepped on a skateboard, I was in middle school. It was the first day of 6th grade. And one of my friends was who had been skating for a while was scared to drop it on the half pipe. And I had never stepped foot on a skateboard before. I was like, hey, if I try it, will you try it? So my first time ever stepped foot on a skateboard, I was dropping on a half pipe. I did not land. I fell pretty hard, but luckily it didn't hurt. It's pretty easy to get back up. But yeah, I never started small. It was, my approach was wrong. Somewhere along the way, I stumbled upon this quote. It's a long quote. Said, it's about creating music. It says, I thought using loops was cheating, so I programmed my own samples. Then I thought using samples was cheating, so I recorded real drums. I then thought that programming was cheating, so I learned to play drums for real. I then thought that using bought drums was cheating, so I learned how to make my own. Then thought that using pre-made skins was cheating, so I killed a goat and skinned it. I then thought that was cheating too, so I grew my own goat from a baby goat. I also think that was cheating, but I'm not sure where to go from here. I haven't made any music lately with the goat farming and all that.
So true.
Yeah, there's always a step deeper you can do, and eventually it's like if the wheel's being invented, there's no need to reinvent it. Use what your people have built before you. A more succinct quote from Carl Sagan is essentially saying the same thing as if you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. You can't create something from scratch. We're all inspired by the things around us and that came before us. That's what I wanted to do. And it was a waste of time, a colossal waste of time, and I didn't really get much done. I just kind of frustrated myself, and I built this idea in my head that coding was too difficult, and if I wanted to learn how to do it, I had to go to college or get some sort of education. But anyway, it put myself in a bad mindset because I had a bad time learning. And throughout the years, I would dabble with tech. I'd mess with INI files, editing saves, or take my Xbox 360 apart and fix it. Building my first PC is obviously a big moment. But that initial experience kind of put me off from coding, which is something I always really wanted to do, but didn't have the resources to attend college here in the States. Pretty expensive. So fast forward a little bit to when I actually got to learning how to code. Around COVID time, I was working as a waiter. I'd done lots of different jobs at the time, but at the time I was a waiter. COVID came and closed the restaurant that I was working at. And the time I was living on my own, it was very difficult in the Bay Area. I was working like 6 days a week and often lots of doubles. I had like no time to myself. So it was pretty scary when the restaurant got closed down. Even with the stimulus coming in, I was not sure what to do, what the future looked like. I was very lucky that my girlfriend, her parents offered to let me stay with them. I was very grateful. It wasn't an ideal situation for any of us, obviously, but I was very grateful for it. And that's what really gave me the opportunity to propel myself forward. So, I'd give what I could and rent or whatever, but I also needed something productive to do with all my free time. I had no work and just money coming in, and I didn't like to so I needed something. And with some research, I discovered the Odin Project, which is what I mentioned earlier. It's a completely free and open source curriculum and community dedicated to teaching people to code. I'm a big advocate for it because it completely changed my life. It made a dream come true of learning how to code with reality without spending a dime. Lots of helpful people in there. And it's all community driven. So even I've given back to the community, edited the curriculum, contributed myself, answered questions in their Discord. It's a really cool, awesome community. I mean, just the open source community in general is really cool. And it wasn't until I discovered the Odin project and was forced to like start small, because that's how the curriculum is. It really takes you from zero experience, and it teaches you everything from like what the internet is to learning and using Git and then visual, like everything. And it wasn't until I started small and I realized the power of like working your way up in that philosophy. It's like, did I want to create another calculator or another to-do app that millions of people have done before me? No, not really. But each project, once I got started, it would teach me valuable lessons, and it introduced unique challenges that made actually tackling those projects more fun and exciting than I thought. You know, I'd actually look forward to starting them. My calculator, when I do it, I thought it was me so boring when that was my assigned project. Like, oh god, this is gonna suck, and it was actually kind of fun. So, you know, and you know, after a year of doing the Odin project very steadily, very a lot, too much, but I eventually worked up the skills and built Banter, which is my very first flagship project. It has like over 1,000 users now, and I'm not sure how many stars on GitHub, but quite a lot. It's my biggest project still today. And I built it before I even had a job in tech. It's a feature-rich, full-stack Discord clone. Haven't maintained it over the years, but it's, you know, it still gets new users in there. I'm not sure from where exactly. I don't necessarily promote it too much anymore, but I do talk about it from time to time. But it's a cool project. I'm really proud of it still. And anyway, not long after I made that project, I was able to successfully make a career switch, got my first job working as a full-time software engineer. Worked at a few different startups over the last 4 years or so. And now I'm at Lilypad, and I'm really excited for this opportunity where I feel like the opportunity is a culmination to utilize all my skills, especially the skateboarding. No, just kidding. But no, it's everything else. A lot of my skills surrounding it, a lot of interests I have, it sounds like I'll be able to utilize here. It's really fun and exciting for me. But yeah, that's pretty much my whole origin story there.
Amazing. I've been on Hangout calls so many times in the last week or so that I went to go reach for the emoji heart button just to flood it. So if you are watching along, well, those that are following along on the live stream version, hello to those watching the pre-recorded, hello to the past. Hello from the past. That's what I usually say. Please, emojis in chat. Heart emojis. Heart hand emojis if you have them. Anyway, that was amazing. If you did just also tune in, you are watching the Lilypad Network bi-weekly AMA. It is the last one for the year for the APAC region. There is a North American one, which will be next week, which will also be the last one for the year. And you just heard Devlin, who is our new Lilypad Network developer relations person, explaining his origin story, which was amazing. And as somebody self-taught and a lifelong student of open source, I very much love that story because it's one I think we hear a lot through the open source world, and it resonates with us all because we all build, learn, and grow together. I always like to think anyway, because this is the way, as the saying goes.
Absolutely.
I have so many questions. One, where do you keep the goats now?
Yeah, I kind of went over a lot, didn't I? Yeah. No, I don't have any goats. My dad does have a ranch down south though. But not sure. I haven't been down there in a while, but he used to have some goats. One was named Mac Daddy.
Oh, nice. And of course, somebody that also is familiar with the ways of country and rural ways. Anything
Right.
with a name is generally safe and is probably going to be around the farm for a very long time. is usually the rule. If it has a name, it's definitely not for dinner. I'm so glad you mentioned the Odin project. It's a group that I know I've personally also interacted with before, and I'm going to put this on the screen. I loaded it while you were talking.
Nice.
Totally worth checking out. These open source free groups. There's a lot of them around. There's also Code Camp, an open coding and free Code Camp. And there is a whole bunch of organizations that do amazing work in helping people learn to code, whether that's building AI, building databases, like Database Scheme is best industry practice or current industry practice, as I always like to say, because you can never be best, because it's always improving. It always makes me cringe, ever so slightly when I hear best practice, and it's like, well, no, it's currently best practice, but like tomorrow, probably not going to be. But anyway,
Never
always
know.
involved. Yeah. But the Odin project has a whole bunch of really fun projects, but also tools. One in particular we did almost implement earlier in the year, their Discord bot into our Discord. It just missed it. I actually contributed to it as well. So I was like pulling it apart, going, I needed to do this, this, and this. So anyway, I started to contribute to it, and yeah, I got sidetracked with many, many millions of other things. But always great to contribute back to these projects where you can. Speaking of, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later in the stream, but Lilypad also open source project, always looking for contributors. So if you did want to contribute, stay tuned because we're going to talk through how you can get involved and how you can earn some Lily bits from that as well. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Big question I have, actually I have two, because there's a question I always love asking when I'm talking to guests or geeking out, as I like to think of it, with developers, is what was your first computer? Tricky one.
Yeah, I'm not 100% because I was pretty young, but it might have been a Gateway because it was that had that gray look when you look at Gateway. You know, when I would visualize my first computer in my head, the family computer in the living room, it was definitely that. And it was probably around that time because I remember, you know, coming home from elementary school and unplugging the phone to hook up the internet, the dial-up internet, and play RuneScape. So,
Oh, so much nostalgia right there. Oh, I always love the. I mean, you can't beat that dial-up noise. I don't know. You miss something. I mean, we've got a Starlink now, and it does
we
not
need to
make
get
the
a
dial-up
soundbite
noise.
and play it.
Yeah, right. Oh, that noise. And it always disconnected exactly 4 hours into the session. Or usually, I know the ones I was always on, it was like 4 hours is up, like disconnect. And you'd have to reconnect and hope that you were doing something that would reconnect without any prompting. But anyway, it was a whole.
That sound was
era.
so uniquely terrible. Whoever created that
Right.
just plagued our ears for some reason. Why did you do that?
The handshake noise. And I mean, probably unless you had call waiting off, I don't know what it was like at that end of the world. It would probably connect for 5 minutes and somebody would ring and knock it off, and you're like, no. Anyway, that was a whole other suite of problems. No, I'm glad I love that you mentioned the Odin project because yeah, they do fantastic work. They have an amazing Discord as well. So if you are looking to get into coding or even sharpen up your skills, or if you want to contribute to a open source group doing amazing work, then please check them out as well. Another link I'm going to share because I have also seen your the banter app that you built. Is your website. Everyone can go check it out. It's
That's right.
available
Projects
on
are
there,
in there.
and yeah, all your social links as well. So, and we're really excited to have you on board because, from one geeky dev to another, yeah, I think you'll do amazing. So actually, I know you'll do amazing. This is the way. Anyway, no, thank you for that. Always love hearing those origins. Actually, I do have, that was the other question I had. I just remembered it. Was what was your first programming language? This is one I don't normally ask all the time, but I'm always curious about.
See, it's a bit of a trick question because technically the very first language I ever attempted to learn was way back in either elementary school or middle school, and that was C++. And like I said, I failed miserably. So the first language, because I wanted to create these big games, and when I looked up what are all the biggest games created, and it was C++. And despite all the advice I heard of starting small, I was too young and stubborn. I was like, no, I want to create the biggest game ever. So, but yeah, I didn't get very far. The first game I actually learned, first programming language I actually learned somewhat competently was Python. But then when I went to the Odin project, I had only about a month or so of Python. I was doing Al Sweigert's Automate the Boring Stuff, a great, fantastic book. And then also Codecademy. I had a free month or something to learn from there. So maybe a month or two or so before I switched to the Odin project. And that was full on JavaScript, TypeScript. And that's the language I'm most comfortable with today.
Funny you should mention that because I mean I learned I'm gonna say it because I don't mind it, but I still kind of like it. PHP. I said it. I hear if you say it 3 times, Rasmus, the creator of it, appears. But anyway, he's a nice guy. Shout out, hi Rasmus. Anyway, yeah, I was had a friend that I was working with back in the day, a colleague friend. He was working on a mud, like a RPG, well, text-based for the most part, like a kind of like a rogue adventure thing.
That's
But he
how
only had the back
RuneScape
end.
started. Actually, was a mud very originally.
There you go.
It's obviously
But
changed a lot since then, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, a little bit more graphical and stuff now. But yeah, he was working on that. Didn't have anyone building a front end, and I was like, oh, I could probably do that. And I ended up learning Python just so I could build out like some type of interface in Tickle to be able to show mapping and stuff. And yeah, then I had the problem of how to deliver the binary, like how to deliver the executable to people's machines and package it up. And yeah, it was a whole raft of issues. But taking on C++ as your first language, like, yeah, I don't hear that one very often. When I do ask that, what was your first programming?
Well, that's why
Like,
it's not
yeah,
the real answer, because I failed.
well,
You know, it wasn't. I wouldn't say I learned the language. You know, I tried and failed.
well, I didn't see it as a failure. I just see it as like you now understand better the complexity of that language because it is a really tough one to do, like especially as a first language. Whereas I found once I learned like something like Python or even PHP, for example, like you can take the rudimentary sort of learnings and foundation of it and apply that to many other languages, and it's
Mhm.
kind of compatible. Like even now, like going from Python, PHP, like JavaScript into Golang, it's like you can look at it and be like, oh, I kind of get what's going on. You can Google or AI the rest of it, but
It's all about
you
the
can,
fundamentals, and that's something that
yeah,
the Odin project. I'm going to keep bringing it up, but it's really drills into you. Also, I spent probably well over a year of my time in the Odin project going hard on JavaScript. I saw, and I was sharing publicly the entire time, every single day. I was posting um, what I was learning, what I was doing, so I met a lot of similar, like-minded people doing the same thing, and a lot of them would jump into React way earlier than me, and they'd ask me, "Why aren't you doing React? Why aren't you doing React?" And I was very strictly following the own project's curriculum, which was hammering in the fundamentals of JavaScript. When I eventually
yeah,
did switch to React, it was easy. It was like an easier version of working with JavaScript, whereas a lot of other people were struggling to learn React. To me, it was like this is just an easier way of doing a lot of the stuff I was already doing in JavaScript. And because the fundamentals were there, my first job wasn't in React; it was in Vue, and I was able to learn Vue just as easy as I learned React because I had the JavaScript fundamentals down. So it's all about the fundamentals, and yeah, I firmly believe that if you work on the fundamentals and you get those down, you can learn any other programming language with enough, you know, like you said, Googling or documentation reading,
yeah.
especially AI, you know, makes our lives easier.
Just always remember, everyone, and I'm sure anyone that's already using the AI for code tweaks, edits, whatever, just make sure you check what it's saying first because I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes shit up.
No, I agree
The
that in order to use AI effectively, you have to know what you're talking about so you can call it
Yeah,
out on its bullcrap, because it will lie to you and you have to be able to
yeah.
tell it, hey, this isn't true actually, and then they'll be like, oh, you're right, this isn't true.
I love it when it says that. It's like, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't mean to say that. Sure you didn't. The Interestingly, I found I almost felt, and I know when I went to do some of the like C plus plus to do demos and build out apps in, or basic apps in, over the years, doing DevRel things. The one thing I always felt was slightly more appreciative for the, I don't want to say modern frameworks, but more structured frameworks, because things like memory management and garbage cleanup and like things that we just take for granted in like the world of Python, Node, etc., is all done for us as part of the framework. Whereas in those like the C-based and more granular languages, like it is not done for you. You have to do all of it. There are libraries that will help with it, but you still have to do it. So which is good and bad depending what you want to do. For game development, I think like it makes a lot of sense because there's
Mhm.
certain environmental things you want to have control of, whereas in the other languages, maybe not so much. Well, obviously not so much because they're not
Yeah,
doing
you
it
need
as
to have
much.
control of when things drop in and out of memory, you know, and stuff like
Yeah,
that. It's really important for video games.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I know the last game that I got, well, I played for years was Elder Scrolls Online. Oh, the amount of times I would run around Cyrodiil till 4 in the morning, like waiting to run, like taking my horse across the entire continent just to meet up with friends. But yeah, memory management in that sort of instance, like you really need to know what is where, when, and how, just because yeah, there is a lot to load in.
And
And
MMOs
it
are a
is
whole different ball game. That's like as complicated as it gets for video
yeah,
games. And video games are already like cutting edge of tech in most regards.
yeah, yeah, I agree. No, amazing origin story, and so glad to have you here. And yeah, looking forward to your first blog. Not to put you on the spot, and I probably know the answer to this, but when is your first blog post?
Well, I have
Soon.
one that I've worked on coming out at the end of the week, but it's not necessarily I've written it. I've just sort of helped edit it and stuff like that. Then I think the first one that I've actually written myself will be coming next week.
Amazing. Excellent. Look forward to reading that.
As
Oh,
long as
look
things don't
forward
get
to
pushed around, because things tend to get moved around a lot. But it should be coming
no,
next week. Priority shift.
amazing.
Though.
Amazing. If you've just joined us, this is the Lilypad Network bi-weekly AMA, APAC AMA. It is the last one for the year. So happy all the seasons to everyone. Depending on no matter what you celebrate, happy end of year or happy near end of year. You're with Steve Kuchin and Devlin. Devlin's our new developer relations person who's just joined. Well, it's the new part. So this is Devlin's first live stream for the year, and we just heard his origin story. If you want to check out, I'm going to say is probably the best origin story I've heard. No pressure, in some time. Please watch the recording. It will be available on our YouTube if you are listening in or watching on one of the other, or just joined us on one of the other platforms. That said, we do have a few more things we want to talk about, but you can interrupt us. Please drop into the chat on whatever platform you're on. Any questions, comments, and emojis, and we will get to them as we go through, or we'll just sidestep and whatever we're talking about and go talking about. So, but please do. If not, we've got some more things we wanted to cover and talk about, including some news, a couple of bits of news that we found interesting and whatnot, like we normally do. And then we're going to look at the latest release and speaking of blog posts, also the latest project report, which talks about some of a lot of the work we've been doing towards on the road to mainnet, plus also a whole bunch of other stuff. So thank you for joining us. It is so great to have you here, and we're looking forward to geeking out some more. One thing I did want to talk about quickly, because it is the end of the year, and traditionally any developers or coders or tinkerers, whoever, always have end of year projects. I know I do, because it's the only time of year you actually get to like deploy things around that ideas you may have. Maybe it's a game, maybe you're building a game or whatever. But if you've got something planned for your upcoming holiday, or the end of year activities, please drop it into the chat, or you can join us on Discord. We always love to hear about whatever geeky fun projects you're on. I'm just reaching for my Discord link. There it is. lilypad.team/Discord. Actually, for example, I would love it if StreamYard, and I know they're probably not watching, but if they are, or if somebody is watching, maybe there's a plugin for it on a browser or something. But I would love it if StreamYard, these short links at the bottom appear in like this little banners window on the StreamYard interface, which we use to do our live streaming from. And I would love it if they had mapped a hotkey to each one of those links at the bottom, so I can be like, oh yes, I need the Discord one. I'm going to hit Alt D, something like that. Anyway, that would be fun, and that would save so much time, because I have to like click and then anyway, while we're talking to people, that would be heaps cool. Anyway, yeah, let us know about your projects that you're working on over the holiday period, which would be super cool. I was just moving windows around because I was going to talk about mine. But Devlin, did you have any games or anything planned, or any sort of dev things, or you over the break period?
Yeah, I was doing I was going back actually and making my inner child happy and trying to learn some game design and game development. I'm taking a similar approach with the Odin project. The Odin project doesn't just teach you how to code; it kind of teaches you how to learn anything. I feel like with if you take their philosophy and just apply it. So yeah, I'm taking the same approach to game design, game development. I'm doing this thing called the 20 Games Challenge. I've kind of gotten a little. I'm not putting a timeline on it. I'm just sort of recreating, starting with Pong, and then I created like Space Invaders, and then Frogger, Asteroids. You're kind of just recreating these classic games and learning so much about game development and the game engine you're using along the way from recreating these mechanics and features. I did get distracted recently because of not only joining Lilypad, but I've been addicted to World of Warcraft lately. So it's kind of sucks my time away. But so that'll for sure get a lot of my time over the break. But I want to get back to Godot, another open source tool I'm using as the game engine of choice. I want to get back to tackling that 20 game challenge again. How about you?
Funny you should mention World of Warcraft, because I also mentioned it today on a call, because we're on a call. I did. There was somebody that was distracted. They were actually on two calls, and so ours was the second call. And I was like talking to him, and then realized like he was elsewhere, but still on camera. And I was like making the joke that he's playing World of Warcraft. Yeah, I won't mention any names, but anyway, it was kind of funny. So, but actually, just before I go into my project, my holiday project is I've seen World of Warcraft mentioned a number of times again recently, just amongst social networks and things. I think it's making a comeback.
Well, so what they're doing, why you've probably heard a lot about it recently, is a while back, I think 4 years ago, I didn't join back then. I haven't played World of Warcraft in a long time. But they have the new World of Warcraft, the most recent up-to-date one, and they re-released like the old school version, like the original vanilla World of Warcraft without all the expansions. And then that was like 4 years ago. So now they've gone over and reintroduced all the expansions to those old servers. And so a month or so ago, they restarted it again. They made new servers all the way at the very beginning all over again. So that's why I started playing. I'm like, okay, well, now I can again, sort of like making my inner child happy. I'm like, I'm get to play this game from my childhood all over again, re-experience it. So level 30 mage right now, going strong.
Nice. Represent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty fun. That was originally launched in Flash, right? So I remember people talking
I don't
back
know.
in the day. I remember
I would doubt it. Flash would be very impressive for an MMO.
Yeah. No, I vaguely remember someone talking about Flash Player back in the day, but yeah, it's been around many, many years. So, good to see it's making a comeback. I have to dust off some old games now at some point. Well, I've got a bunch of smart stuff to connect. We've been off grid now for about completely self-sufficient off grid for nearly 3 months, actually. Yeah, next full moon, which is about 2 days time. But yeah, we'll be building out like a smart house. I've had them before. This one's a little different because I'm kind of building it to, well, I'm not lazy, but I want it to do a whole bunch of like monitoring and stuff that like I don't want to do. And then just to throw alerts when, there's not enough power coming in. Like today, there should be more, but it's cloudy. So anyway, so yeah, I'm going to finish connecting up some smart house stuff, which I should have this thing up the screen,
This is
which
really cool.
I
This is interesting.
had not had time.
I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking at here, but it looks really cool. The graphs and the colors, the moving lines.
The colors and the moving lines took a long time to get right, because like if I'm going to have a dashboard that we look at like each day just to know like we've got enough power coming in, but essentially the top left is the amount of power like in flux right now. So we're bringing in 1.3 kilowatts of power through the 6 panels, which is running some of the house things. This is our office down here running at 171 watts, and then I've got a backup UPS kind of running all the network stuff like Starlink and all that sort of stuff. And then there's still power going into the bank. Normally at this time of day, it's midday here, we would be fully charged, but yeah, it's a bit cloudy today, so probably we'll need to put the backup generator on later.
Oh, yeah, you can see the forecast, cloudy.
Yeah, that actually goes to an hourly thing. There it is.
You built this dashboard yourself?
Kinda. So it's a lot of open source components. It's essentially Home Assistant with a bunch of custom plugins and then some custom code and a bunch of custom configuration, just to get everything kind of working happily. So, but it's one of those never ending projects. There's always something you're like tweaking or connecting or. So I've got like a LiDAR sensor to put on. We've got a water tank nearby because we have a solar bore that pumps water to the water tank, and then we just like use it out of that. And so I'm going to put a LiDAR on the top of that. So I know, like, we know how much is in there, how much we use daily. The house will start to get metrics on that. That's what I call it, the house. It's such an unaffectionate name, the house. Um, Actually, it does well. So Home Assistant actually, I think it was this year. Was this year? Last year. They have a open source voice assistant as well, which is it's clunky, it's so clunky, but it works. And like, so I bought these little, like, I think they're only like $8 little smart home speaker microphone things. They've got a demo for it and stuff, but I haven't got that set up yet. But you can run a local LLM for this as well. So need to get more battery storage and sort out a few power things, not for long term, but yeah, planning to run a GPU here, which you can share into Lilypad through Starlink and whatnot. We'll know how much power it's using, and then it can also run the LLM so that Sassy House, as it's known, will be able to come online and, like, yeah, answer questions and stuff through voice. But anyway, it's a never-ending project. Like, it never ends. There's always something to connect up and yeah, do all the things with. So it's probably, other than like farm stuff that we've been putting off, that's likely what will be on the coming weeks, hopefully. But yeah, like you said, it's easy to get distracted with like all the things, every other thing that comes your way. But yeah, tell us, for those playing along at home, whether you're watching the live stream live, well, or you're watching the recording, join us on Discord and tell us what you've got planned for the holiday season. Maybe it's to build out a different type of, a new type of model. Maybe it's you want to run a resource provider. Maybe you want to contribute to this amazing code base. I'm hoping I'm pointing the right way. On that I've got on screen. It's up to you. Oh, actually, yeah, our new engineer just also, Holly Grimm. Shout out to Holly. Maybe she'll be able to come on at some point and say hi as well in the live stream. We
Already got a pull request in.
Already got a pull request in.
Huge.
It looks like Holly's signed the CLA, so all ready to. This is Holly's first week, so all ready to start contributing code. And yeah, thank you for your contributions. If anyone else does want to contribute, we're always looking for contributors. There's always something to fix, tweak, or that could be done better. But that's the fun of open source. You can contribute, open a pull request, or even start a discussion, which Discord link is below, lilypad.team/Discord. Let me take that off screen before. Yeah, there we go. The latest release is 2.10.0, which came out last week. I believe it was mostly, there we go. Mostly just some bug fixes, and again, setting up some base, some foundation, if you will, some base for the upcoming mainnet deployment work, which has been ongoing by the team, well, for a number of weeks now. So, which is our complete and main focus. If you are running a resource provider, please make sure you have the latest version updated. We now are actually capturing that as part of our network deployments. So yeah, we are able to tell which version you've got running. I'm actually seeing, digging through the database a lot recently for yeah, a whole bunch of different reasons. But one thing I am seeing is there's still submissions coming in on some of our older API routes, which kind of suggests that yeah, we are seeing older versions of resource provider software being deployed. So please make sure you update it, because those older versions will stop working very soon. So make sure you get those updates in. If you have any issues too, be sure to raise tickets on the GitHub, just so we can continue to work through them as we can. And thank you to all of those that already submitted any potential pitfalls or issues they've discovered. We are working through them. There's just a couple to get through, and it takes time to, well, there's a multitude of data to look through in a multitude of places. So from logs to database and on-chain, like, there's a lot of considerations to look through. Anyway,
you have a vendor bot?
I wish we had a vendor bot.
It looks, the bot on the GitHub looks like a vendor face.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that too. I was like, you were saying like maybe you need a vendor bot. I was like, yes. I mean,
yes. I mean, so many things that could get bent.
Actually, speaking of smart houses and NDU things, I really want one of those robot dog things from the Boston Dynamics.
The dog?
Really expensive. Yeah, they're the yeah. I think the new US, well, incoming vice president got what I saw in with pictures of one, and I was like,
What would you use
I
it
want
for?
one.
Because you have a ranch. Would you use it for the herd?
Not well, probably not. But we've only got two horses, so and they're I mean they're really good. You walk somewhere and they're generally following you. I mean, if you hold a carrot and do that, they're all in. So no, I'd like to check fences and I mean, this is a very Australian regional problem, but we have a lot of problems with kangaroos. So they cross fences. They're like big things. They just not great. Anyway, maybe chasing those off, running
Luckily,
intel
those
on the
Boston
fences.
Dynamics dogs, they can take a hit from the kangaroo and still stand. They'll get back
Yeah,
up just fine.
we have a little Pomeranian that loves chasing them, which is not great because kangaroos have been known to do not very nice things to dogs when they don't like the fact that they're being woofed at and chased. So I'm very thankful that she has not had that incident happen yet because I mean it's kind of funny until it's not when you see this
Yeah,
little
it's scary.
Pomeranian "Blah, blah, blah, blah," and then this big muscly kangaroo looking at it going, what are you? Yeah, there's a few moments of get back here. Anyway, no, I would love a Benderbot, let alone a Boston Dynamics dog, and I would no doubt find any number of reasons to use it, maybe to send messages or something across to the neighbors. I don't know. I'd find something. Hook it up to the
Bring me a
house.
soda from the fridge.
Yeah, yeah, do the little arm thing. I mean, those days are coming, which is really
Yeah.
cool. I think especially as those, and it's something we've talked about heaps on the live stream, is just as those AI models get more robust and they mature more as a code base, as a learning method. As they build out more, the capabilities in these things are going to be insanely good. So still early days, and they're still really expensive. It's kind of like the 3D printer, though. I think the first 3D printer I got, I'd have to buy a new one of those, upgrade power and stuff. But I looked at it, I set it all up and was like, oh wow, is that how it works? That's really easy. And then my first thought was, did someone make one 3D printer and then use that to make other 3D printers? Is it the same thing with robots? Do you just build one and get it to make more? I don't know. So many questions. Mind blown. Mind blown.
Did you
But
see Data Panda's comment in the YouTube chat?
wait,
Thank you.
switching back to
They said we are thinking
yeah.
of building data products for science over Lilypad computing resource.
Oh, that is so cool. Yes, we
Oh,
definitely want
look
to
at
hear about
that.
that. So fun. Oh yeah,
Awesome.
if you click I need to give you a crash course. It's true. I forgot we haven't done that yet. In hindsight, I probably should have done that over day when we had our geek out of here's the live stream. I need to take you through the UI. Anyway, yeah, we can bring up things on screen sometimes. Yes, that is amazing. And actually, funny you should mention that, Data Panda, because we actually have a container or a containerized workload or module, if you will, that builds containerized workloads for Lilypad, which we use to run on Lilypad, which is already running on containers. So anyway, that's a whole other mind-blowing discussion, which I still find fascinating. So no, that would be amazingly cool. And we have some, I definitely can't talk about it yet, but we have some fun modules which our research and development team has been building out, which are getting ready to be released, I believe. I don't know whether it will be this year because we are running out of time, but that will help with those sort of activities because it will make building the modules a lot easier through some graphical interface stuff. That's all I'm going to say. Probably already said too much. I can feel
Make sure
marketing
you
going.
share what you do build if you get around to, either in the Discord or on Twitter. Let us know what you do. We'd love to see.
Yeah, and maybe we can get you on to talk about what you've done and how you did it, and yeah, all that sort of stuff as well, because we've done that a few times, which would be amazing. Not hang on, we have a question. Does Lilypad support any AI computing frameworks like Kubeflow? Not specifically Kubeflow. There are some frameworks which we are getting ready to release, and I'm thinking while I'm talking whether I can mention them, and I don't think I can because we've just signed some MOUs and a few other things. So anyway, stay tuned. Or you can join us on Discord. Maybe we can connect and talk about it there.
Soon.
But we do
Yeah.
soon. Actually, one I can talk about because we've used it before for some publicly released. Actually, we've talked about it too, and I've demoed it. Is Comfy UI. Probably may not be quite what you're looking for, but it is entirely possible to do. So, um, yeah, again, join us on Discord and yeah, keep us posted on what you're building because that sounds amazingly fun and interesting all at the same time. So yeah, stay in touch and keep an ear out. But thank you for the comments. On that note, this is the Lilypad bi-weekly APAC AMA. We only have about 10 minutes or so left. So if you do have any more questions, comments, or emojis, we accept all of them. And drop them into the chat, and we'll see. We accept emojis because we like things with a little character. That's usually my anyway. Yes, please drop it into the chat. This is the last one, the last APAC stream for the year. So you can still join us on Discord and folks will still be around. Maybe over the holiday season, not as much as normal, but we will still be around. Otherwise, if you are watching the recording or this is extremely late for you or a really weird hour in your time zone, you can try and join the North American live stream, which is, I want to say this time next week, but my time zone is usually ahead of most other people's, being in GMT plus 10. So there is an alternate time zone. That sounds like a Twilight Zone thing. There is another time zone we stream in every week, every other week, which is next week, and that will be the last one. So join Alex and actually, are you in that one too, Devlin? I probably should check that. But,
I'm not too sure.
And I'm going to say yes, and Devlin. I just dubbed you into that one. Anyway, join us in that one because yeah, we will love to chat there too. And we will also have some more news and updates and whatnot as well. Usually, I think Logan joins as well, and there's a lot of geeking out with code and things and playing with whatever amazing things Logan is building out and doing on that particular day. Anyway, we only have 10 minutes left, less than 10 minutes now that I've said all that. So please drop any questions you have in the chat or join us on, what was that platform again? Oh, I remembered. I was just looking at the link. Discord. And we would be more than happy to
You mean
chat
banter?
there as well. Banter, the
No,
alternate Discord. See, I still, I don't know, maybe it's an age thing, but I saw Slack come out, right? And then obviously Discord, kind of kicked off, and then we saw a few of these chat platforms rise and then also fall. Shout out to HipChat. If anyone remembers the Atlassian product, which got moved into, I think Slack absorbed it from memory. Anyway, oh no, Slack did. That's right, it did. And I looked at it and thought, this is IRC. And I still like the IRC days for anyone that used it back before then. Anyway, this was a while ago. I think
for the gamers, but before Discord, it was Ventrilo.
I haven't heard of that one.
That's the voice chat client that everyone was using for anything you needed on whether it be a server or whether it be a big guild raid. Ventrilo's that everyone organized on, and then Discord came over and made it so much easier because on Ventrilo you had to host your own server, your own voice chat server. So you had to have a computer running or rent a computer to be running 24/7. Whereas Discord, you just hit the plus button and then they do it for you. So kind of build all that.
I just remembered, speaking of running your own server and stuff, you sent me a news article which I thought was super interesting, and we should have tangented it in there while we were talking about.
All right, TeamSpeak. Does TeamSpeak sound familiar to you?
Oh, I remember TeamSpeak. Yes.
Yeah,
I do remember TeamSpeak. There we go. Hey, there we go. Funny you should mention. Yeah, I thought in the last few minutes. I don't know why the picture's not loading. Oh, maybe that is.
I think it starts in the middle of the carousel for some reason. You can go back to the very first slide. That's the end.
Got it.
Yeah, I couldn't find the original Twitter thread that I first found this. It was way more in depth with better information, but this is what I could find. It's still a pretty cool story. Basically, they had, I haven't gone over it, but basically someone created an AI chat bot with the instructions. Gist of the instructions were to not release the funds under any circumstances whatsoever but at the same time, they allowed people to pay money. I think it was $100 a message, or I think it got more expensive over time. But pay some sort of money to talk with the chatbot, send messages to it, and the whole point was to try and convince the chatbot to send you the money. And then someone actually did successfully send a prompt that was able to transfer the funds over to their wallet. And I think they actually show the prompt that they used, and I think in the thread that I wrote, I haven't read this Instagram post thoroughly, but in the thread that I wrote, they broke down the prompt and like how it was able to trick the AI. It was pretty interesting. I wish I was able to find that original source. But I'm sure if you just do some Googling, you can find some more information on this. It's a very interesting story. Just happened not too long ago either. This post was 6 days ago in particular. This is
Oh,
the
yeah, I
message
see
right
what they
here.
did. Yeah, I see what they did. That's smart. Like basically trapped into logic, so it only had like the one path to do, but it would have taken a long time to get. This looks like a lot of iterating. Maybe they used AI to work out the message to give the AI. Wouldn't that be so meta?
Who knows?
That's pretty cool. This is something I worked at Sneak for a little while, the security company, and this is something DevRel, and this is something we talked about in the internal team. I raised it just after the AI, the GPT stuff started to emerge, and said, "Gee, wouldn't it be fun to do a demo where you convince the AI to hack itself?" This is kind of like that.
Yeah, it
What
is
a
kind of
great
like that.
challenge.
You are you're the whole point is to basically like socially hack the AI chatbot. It's with a prompt. So prompt hacking, I'm not I don't know.
No, it's totally a thing because well, someone's done it, but no doubt it is also happening as we stream. That's oh yeah, nice. What a great comp. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very interesting project. I thought it was really cool too.
And agents are so you see them now. I've actually seen Web 2 folks talking about prompts quite a lot lately. Not prompts in AI agents, using them for a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's interesting to see see them emerge more now. It's almost like creating and actually last live stream we were talking about a novel being written by well essentially AI agents that were governed by other AI agents to make sure they stayed on story, like top level storyline as they were playing out their thing. Like, yeah, it's so
Interesting. So yeah,
interesting to
it's
see that coming.
AI agents dedicated to just focusing on making sure the story gets written, and then other agents that are actually writing the story, so that when they inevitably deter way far off the course, you have the overarching agent be like, no, stay on the course, keep writing, but
Yeah.
stay on the course. Yeah, interesting.
Um, yeah, it's a yeah, it's similar to and yeah, something else we talked about last episode too, similar to that Seinfeld that was live streaming on Twitch. I actually don't know whether that's still going, but
Oh yeah,
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 they
yeah.
were.
It is. It's called like I'm following them on Twitch. They're called like Streaming Forever or something like that. That was really
Yeah,
interesting.
it was actually, and the storyline actually was not bad. Like it was kind of watchable. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh no,
I
like
watched a
what is
lot
this?
of that. It's called Watch Me Forever. I found them. They're live right now.
Oh, they are still live. Wow, there
Yes.
you go.
I mean, that's the name of
Um,
it. Is Watch Me Forever. They're live 24/7, just with new AI
just
generated
like
storylines.
Seinfeld in 8-bit.
Yeah.
That's so cool. If you, for those watching at home, whether you're watching live stream or recording, if you find any interesting stories like this, particularly over the next few weeks, please join us on Discord and drop them in there, or just reach out on our socials and share them with us because I always find I always find these things sort of fascinating, but just great that we talk about it, especially finding vulnerabilities by talking to an AI agent is pretty cool. And it does raise the question, it's something we've talked about a lot during the year, I think. I remember talking about a lot was like who, with all these AI processes, AI agents, like anything to do with AI centric mechanisms, like who validates they're doing the things they should be doing. And I think the prime candidate, which I just looked at my phone, was the Apple integrating, and not by anyone's choice. They just decided to integrate a certain OpenAI, well, I've outed them now, company into their product without telling anyone. And to make it worse, and to make it more of a pain on the user, to disconnect it, you have to go into the setting of every single app you have installed and say, do not watch this app, which like is evil in my opinion. But anyway, that is creating a cumbersome user interface, user experience for the sake of making sure the AI stays in all those applications and watching what you're doing, which is a wrong way to do it, in my opinion. It almost makes an assumption that people want the AI integrated into their lives, not giving them the choice, and that is wrong. But that's why,
you know, the learn from this app setting is what you're talking about.
yeah, yep. Yeah, you have to go into every one of those 100 and 200 and 300 apps you have installed. I know because I did it after. Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that the well, the AI implementation you're talking about is opt-in, but I don't remember opting into this learn from this app setting, and I just noticed that. So yeah, I have to read into that. I didn't even notice that before.
Yeah, this is the other thing they did not say about. They didn't tell anyone about it. It's not until you go into like the deeper settings and you get a whole list of apps, and you're like, hang on, I didn't put that on. But you have to go through every single one and turn it off. Little things like that, which in an open source world, like somebody would have already spotted and been like, oh, you forgot to do this, and then put in a pull request and everyone will get the update. It doesn't happen in a walled garden. Like it's on because it's for your best. It's for your benefit, right? Anyway, that's the thing that Lilypad. One of the things that Lilypad's approach to decentralizing and democratizing access to artificial intelligence and all its nuances tries to tackle essentially. So taking that open source approach of, well, if we find something wrong, we all pitch together and fix it. Whereas this is just like, this is what you're getting. You will like it because you have no choice. It's not as if you can load another version of iOS on. Anyway, on that note, this is the final episode of the year. So that was kind of weird that we've gone, hey, welcome, Devlin. And then like, well, we'll see you next week.
I'll see you in a few weeks.
See you in a few weeks. Oh, it is only a few weeks. Where did the year go? But if you've just joined us, you've joined us at the end of the final episode of the APAC AMA for the year. If you've been watching for a while, thank you for joining us. It's been great having you here. We really enjoyed geeking out with you, sharing what things we find out, things we spot in the wild, like this amazing story. If you're looking for a project to get involved in over the holiday period, over the end of your wrap up, or whatever you've got going on there in the next few weeks towards the end of the year, please contribute where you can, even if it's just to documentation, which is all open source. Or if you just want to poke through some Golang in your spare time, in your time off, in your downtime, then please feel free to open pull requests as you need to. If you have any problems, open an issue. The team will be on leave from time to time, but we'll get to them as soon as we can. But yeah, please open an issue. Yeah, or you can. Or you can join to Discord. You can get the link.
I need help channel for all questions. Yeah,
or if you want to contribute to StreamYard and add a macro to these links that I keep putting on screen, that would be amazing. Just so I can be like, I don't know. I don't think they do that. But it would be nice. Maybe it's a browser plugin. Actually, it's probably a browser plugin. I gotta have a look. Anyway, whatever you're up to, please stay safe and take care as we go through. We'll be back sometime in January, maybe the second week, I would say, just while we get back up to speed with all our mainnet preparation activities. So yeah, until then, thanks for joining, and we hope to see you in the new year.
Thanks all. Have a good one.
We're going to grab the rock music. Here we go. All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining. Oh, wait, you haven't heard this yet, have you?
No? You use this music every time?
Sometimes. This was made with Lilypad, by the way. It's one of our...
Oh, no way. I did not know that. That's awesome. Wait, everything? Or what part?
No, everything. It was a module.
This is awesome.
stay tuned for the first one next year where we'll talk about how we made this, maybe. No, I
That
think
would
it
be
would be
great.
fun.
You need to
That'd be
catch
fun.
up and learn.
Anyway, thanks for joining, everyone. Have a safe end of the year, no matter where you are,
Holidays.
and we'll see you next year. Bye.
Right.